I don't know that now is the time to be talking about how expensive everything is in the portal now. Hello and welcome into another edition of Three Ma. John Kurtz, Derek Young, Cole Manbeck, whole crew is here with you. We're going to give you some K-State basketball updates as the offseason continues. A little bit of a dead period with the portal, but still plenty to talk about, both with the coaching staff and what is happening with the basketball roster. It's all going to be brought to you by our good friends at Holiday Distillery. Cole was just telling me he needs a lake season to get here. If you are excited for lake season, make sure you've got plenty of Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon on hand to take out there and enjoy at the lake. 360 vodka as well. Get stocked up now, people. Never too early to do that, or just to have some to be out looking outside right now. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Just hang out on the patio or something with a little Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon. Thank you to our friends at Holiday Distillery. Okay, well, I'm hopeful that this is going to be a nice, positive discussion. I've got to be honest. I'm a little discouraged by Cole's attitude about everything happening with K-State men's hoops right now. Our pre-show meeting I just brought the vibes down a little bit, DY. So I don't know. Do we think Cole can perk things back up here as we're now live on the air? What are the odds?
He's going to do his best, and he's not going to be as negative as what he may have been off the air. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure I hope not.
Wow, you guys are really painting a negative picture of me. I don't think I was that bad. So,
well, Cole, you're an analytics guy. I mean, your F-bombs per word spoken rate, your F rating, if you will, was pretty strong.
Did I use the F word in the pre-show meeting? I didn't actually know that. So,
a couple of times.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try to do better. I won't do that on air.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
More D rating, less F rating. Yes.
And wow, DY, more D rating. All right, Eric. Yeah, that's very nice. Nicely slipped in. Oh, so yeah, let's go.
I can't decide if that was good or if that was trying too hard, but maybe I'll, for the sake of positive vibes, I'll say that was good. Well done. All right. Well, look, let's talk about the coaching staff first. DY, I know you had the report about Uric. That hasn't been officially announced by Texas yet, has it?
It has not just been reported by a number of folks. I think we kind of went official before anyone, but I think Jeff Goodman, even later that day, had something on it as well, reporting that he was going to head to Texas, work for Sean Miller. Sean Miller brought a lot of guys with him to Texas from Xavier, so I don't think, maybe he only had one spot to fill, something like that. Goes Uric Malagi's direction here. I think it's going to be a tough loss because I think in terms of, kind of being almost the elder statesman in terms of the assistants, that's kind of what the role he filled. So they're going to have to backfill that position some way. We'll see what kind of route they go, but I think he'll be a loss just because he was, like I said, the mature, experienced coach. It's kind of been around the block a little bit more than the rest of the assistants on the staff. So that's what they'll miss the most, I think. Turns from a planning and organization type thing and knowing how things are supposed to look, supposed to work. And I think he was looking probably to leave Manhattan. I think a change of scenery is what probably both sides felt like was best. And I think it was probably a matter of time before something like this happened. Going a fourth season in a row with the exact same three assistants would have been pretty rare, especially, unfortunately for a team that's missed two straight NCAA tournaments.
Yeah, not the assistant coaching change that I would probably like to see. Uric Malagi's an incredibly credible coach on this staff. As the associate head coach, there was a ton of excitement when K-State was able to land him, and Jerome Tang brought him in as the AHC when he first took the job. And look, Uric's a tremendous recruiter. He's regarded highly in that regard across the country. ESPN, The Athletic, they've listed him on their 40 under 40 list for years. Silver Waves Media has listed him as one of the top Division I high major assistant coaches in the country back-to-back years as well. He's got a tremendous amount of respect. We have a ton of respect for him. He's been great on the show with us and always been great with us as well. And he helped spearhead a K-State defense, guys, that over each of the last 3 seasons ranked top 40 in the country. Even when they were trending poorly this year for a large stretch, they ended up finishing 36th in the country in Ken Palm defensive rating. They finished 25th in Ken Palm defensive rating last year, and they finished 27th in Ken Palm defensive rating in year 1. And Uric Malagi kind of helped spearhead the Kansas State defense. Now, Jerome Tang is a defensive guy as well, but this is a guy that's coached at Texas Tech under Chris Beard at both stops. He's coached under Larry Brown at SMU. He's been at Texas A&M for 4 years. Now he's going back to Texas to work under Sean Miller. I mean, clearly he's held in a very high regard, and so it stinks to lose him. Now, people will argue, like, how great has the recruiting been? I think, and I obviously can't argue against that across the collectively as a staff. I don't think they brought enough talent in. I also think NIL and everything has impacted some of the relationships and the value you can bring as an elite recruiter. But we know K-State's had plenty of money as well. So I don't know what to make of that, but it's a loss. And the next step, the question is, where do they go? Like, it needs to be an external hire for the associate head coach. I want to make that very clear. But what are you going to do about the offense? Because Uric Malagi more so for defense, but he's moving on. Defense hasn't been a problem. What are we going to do about the offense, guys? K-State's offense, 125th in the country in offensive rating this year, 13th in the Big 12, ahead of only Oklahoma State, Colorado, and West Virginia. And then in the year prior, 108.3 offensive rating, 139th in the country, 12th out of 14 teams in the Big 12, ahead of West Virginia and UCF. The offense has been a disaster for 2 straight seasons. The defense has been really good all 3 years under Jerome Tang. What are we going to do to fix that? I mean, there's got to be a change there, right?
My only argument to anything you said would be, I don't necessarily think bringing in talent has been quite the issue. I think it's been getting the talent to play well for you and getting talent that actually fits together on the court.
Fit. Yeah, I would agree. And look, I will just say this before we totally veer off into, the other portions of this Cole was going towards. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, the biggest issue first, like, I really like Uric. I mean, I'll be upfront about that. Like, I love the guy. He was awesome to talk to. He's such a good dude. You can see why he's really highly regarded as a recruiter and just as a person in the business. And that's what, look, let's be honest. Like, if we're calling a spade, you go back to everything that has happened since Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson left. All the drama that happened with the university president, everything that happened at Iowa State. This coaching staff needs credibility, and because it feels like nationally a decent amount of that has eroded away, and the most credible assistant that they had for sure was Uric Malagi, which, makes sense. He's the associate head coach, but like, Cole rattled off all the jobs that he's had and the coaches that he has worked for. Like, that's a legit, bona fide, very good high-level assistant and a guy that's probably going to be a head coach at some point. Came fairly close to happening this offseason, in fact. So, like, you're losing a lot of credibility there. And that's where I will agree with Cole. Like, that's why you'd very much want outside hire, somebody with a lot of experience, veteran coach. And we've been saying that for a while, that, a different voice like that could help. And maybe it is somebody that comes in with some new ideas offensively. I certainly would not turn that away. So that's kind of where I'm at on this.
That probably was put a lot better. The same thing I was trying to say, but put a lot better by you in terms of having the older guy. They kind of knew how things are supposed to go and all that. I think his credibility goes a lot in that. And look, we hear a lot about how connected the staff is. I think a lot of that was Uric.
Yeah, so, when you think about where you go to associate head coach, like, it needs, like we said, it needs to be an external hire. And I've always been a proponent, guys, for the last few months when we text about this, that needs to be a guy that's probably got head coaching experience. It doesn't have to be, but I would like it to be a guy that's been a former head coach. You see a lot of former head coaches that are on staff at jobs across the country that, can kind of help with the day-to-day and the X's and O's and everything, and have been there, done that, and I think about a Craig Smith who was fired at Utah. I think about a Kevin Kruger fired at UNLV, and I know people are really wondering, why would you want to hire a fired coach? But I think there's value in bringing in guys like that have had some success at previous stops and are open for a job.
Two coaches that, or no, it's more than two coaches that have done this, but two coaches that are kind of in that group of coaches orbit, so to speak, in like Jerome Tang's orbit, Drain Dowling, Garrick Malgi. Grant McCaslin has done that, right? With bringing in the Wyoming coach, Jeff Linder, I believe.
Yeah, and he wasn't even fired. They just brought him in.
Yeah, Grant McCaslin did. Dusty May did that. He brought in Mike Boynton.
Yep.
Did he really? I didn't even know that.
Mike Boynton's at Michigan, yeah.
Huh. Wow, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, if we're calling a spade and being honest, I think that's really what the staff needs. I think the question will be, is that what they want? And those may be two different things. We'll see. The other name that I think we do have to kick around here is Cole. If it is just to bump somebody else on the staff right now up to associate head coach, then Anthony Winchester, I think, probably in line to get a job on the staff at some point. So that should be thrown out there. What are the odds you think of that happening, DY?
It really depends on what direction that Jerome Tang decides to go. Like, I think it's like, if he's just going to slide everyone up a scale, then I think Anthony Winchester is probably going to be the guy that kind of fills in the back end, becomes a top 3 assistant for the staff. To be clear, I think he's probably ready for a role of that sort. I just don't know if just staying internal across the board, or at least for associate head coach, is the way I'd go. But it's the way a lot of coaches tend to go, that they're in that orbit with, right? I don't think Scott Drew really went outside that much. Once he put his staff together, I think he went internal a lot. And obviously that's Jerome Tang's mentor. So
when even Tang talked about the Houston model, I literally just heard Kelvin Sampson last week at the Final Four talking about how that's been a part of their culture, is that they
never go external.
Guys in the system, bring them up as GAs, and then they promote them through, and that's kind of, he credits a lot of their culture to that. So yeah,
he said a few of my coaches, all the coaches that I've hired since I've been in Houston were once my managers. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, Sean, look at their salary. Quantus White, who we priced. Yeah, watch those guys torment K-State in the Woldridge era.
Like Scott Drew, if you want to say he had an external hire, I think it was Tweety Carter.
Yeah, he's got Steve Henson now on his staff, former K-Stater, obviously, that he brought in after Jacobs took the FAU job as the head coach.
He lost to those guys all at once, Jacobs and Alvin Brooks, so he probably felt like he needed to go external.
Well, he's had to replace a lot of guys because a lot of his guys have gotten head coaching jobs across the country, as you think about it. Driscoll at North Florida, et cetera. We could go down the list of all the Scott Drew hires that have gotten jobs across the country. And so, look, John, when it comes to Anthony Winchester, I'd like him to be one of the 3 main assistants, but in order for that to happen in my ideal world, there would have to be 2 staff changes on the K-State staff, because I just made it clear that I think the associate head coach needs to be an external hire. And if it's an external hire and that is the only change made on the staff, then you can't just promote from within. So there need to be 2 staff changes in order to bump Winchester up. I think he'd be ready to go, and I think he'd be good. But again, I that means there's 2 staff changes in my ideal world. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully we get an announcement this week on all of this.
I mean, that's the last part of this. I was just like, the concerning part is, like, you're just feeling like behind the 8 ball a little bit in the portal already, and then, you don't know what's going on with the staff. There have certainly been rumors flying around about other staff members. So, like, where is the staff? Like, now you just lost the most credible, steady guy, I'm not trying to venture into Cole negativity land, everybody, okay? But I understand where Cole is coming from on that, because it doesn't make you feel great, right? It just does not make you feel great about what's going on right now. Let's say that. Okay, I'll take that one, guys. Don't worry. DY's got some great home field apparel on today. I've got some great home field apparel on today. Congratulations to UConn for winning the national championship. DY for celebrating that. Can we get a full look at the rest of the shirt? Is there anything else on the design? Okay, it's just that. Okay.
This is
Like that
practically
logo.
the women's logo, or it used to be, like specifically just the women.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. I like that logo. I got lectured by UConn fans when all the UConn to the Big 12 stuff was going around because I didn't spell it like that with the U and the C capitalized. So I now very much know that that's how you're supposed to do it with the UConn. You can find that shirt at homefieldapparel.com. You can find this super comfy hoodie that I've got on with Sailor Willie at homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code 3MOD24 to get 15% off your first order. That's promo code 3MOD24 to get 15% off your first order. All the best college gear around. Amazing K-State designs there. Go check it out, people. Homefieldapparel.com. We're back in just a moment.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win real money this March? Struggling to choose which team will pull off an upset? Forget about the teams. All you need to focus on are player stats to rack up big cash prizes with DraftKings Pick 6. And when it comes to the massive payouts, DraftKings dunks over all the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. Track your picks for a shot to win huge cash prizes. It's as simple as that. All you have to do is pick which players you think will score, rebound, get assists, and fill up the stat sheet, and you can win. It's that easy. So turn your college basketball knowledge into cash today. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly with just a $5 entry. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited, 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promo.
Well, speaking of the portal, Buddy Rich has entered the portal. He becomes the first K-State player off of this roster, technically, to enter. We do expect more to follow. It, again, speaking of things moving very slowly, we're still not seeing as much of that as we anticipated, but Buddy, which I think is not very surprising, is in the portal. His playing time was all over the map. It was pretty erratic this year, and then for most of conference play, we didn't really see him. A guy who has certainly a lot of talent and certainly a lot of explosiveness and athleticism, but never really strung it together on the court in his time at K-State. So wish him the best. Didn't think he was going to be a part of what was going on here, and this is probably something that's beneficial for both parties.
Yeah, explosive, athletic, has those traits. In terms of like actual basketball skill, some of it came through on the offensive end. I would say still sort of limited there, and I think his defensive prowess is probably what at times irritated the staff the most, maybe a willingness there. Because I mean, I'll just put it this way. The last time we heard Jerome Tang speak about Buddy Rich, I think was when he came, maybe it was the second game back after he didn't play for like 11, 12, 13 games in a row. And Jerome Tang was asked about why Taj Manning saw the floor. It was a Big 12 game later in the season. And the question was about Taj Manning. And he said, because Buddy Rich didn't give us anything, he wasn't playing hard.
Yeah, I mean, you just couldn't trust him day in and day out. I mean, you gave him a chance finally after sitting on the bench for 13, 14 straight games, DY, and then, Tang's talking about how he didn't play hard when he gets his opportunity. There was a work ethic issue behind the scenes, didn't necessarily put in the work, not a good defensive player, not a good rebounder, which doesn't add up because, he can jump really high, but a terrible rebounder, to be honest with everybody. The one trait that he really had was, not only could he dunk, he was actually a pretty good finisher inside, whether it be layups, so he'd power in. I always thought, John and I remember David Hoskins at K-State, and I thought Buddy could be a guy that could be, had the power to be able to be like a small ball four if he would learn to use his body right and just power his way to the rim. Obviously, that didn't happen in the 2 years that K-State had him, and obviously it was time to part ways mutually there.
Yeah, man, I know a lot of the fans will be sad, man. I guarantee you we'll get some comments on the YouTube video probably, right, about that. He was definitely a fan favorite. So, tough break. Apologies to everybody there, but thus is life in college sports in the year 2025. The more damning news out of the portal is that Markel Sutton, who we talked about recently, transfer from Omaha, Summit League Player of the Year. He did visit. He did not commit, and he winds up committing to LSU. So that's a blow. Somebody I think we definitely would have taken. Sounds like somebody the staff definitely really wanted. Bringing him in on a visit like that, it's been the one recruitment that really actually moved to the point of all right, it feels like this is serious enough on both sides it could happen. And it did not. And it's not like you're losing him to a great program. Now, LSU has some financial resources for sure. And the SEC obviously is a great basketball conference right now, but LSU was not doing a lot of work to help that reputation.
No, and I'll put it this way. I think we expect Kansas State to have the NIL financial resources to maybe have in the top 20, top 25, it sounds like in that neighborhood. And LSU is going to be a school that's probably in that neighborhood this year too. They seem to be devoting and putting a lot of resources to it. There's been reports on it, how they were going to throw some money at it this offseason for Matt McMahon. And it seems to be playing out because they have landed a handful of transfers as well that have been kind of coveted by other teams. At the same time, what's concerning for me a little bit, not to the point where I'm 100% panicking, but concerned, is it's April 7th. This offseason's been, almost a month old at this point. I know the portal's been open, 2.5 weeks at this point, and there might have been a dead period in there, but unless they have more irons in the fire that we are unaware of, and that could be true, that might be realistic. It just doesn't seem like they're on the verge of anything, while just about everyone else has picked up at least one or two commits from the portal. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter when you get them, but who you get. And we kind of ran into that issue last year when the fit didn't really go together. But I don't know that you can be without a lot of movement at this point and feel tremendously comfortable.
Well, DY, there's 69 college basketball programs in the high major level. In terms of conferences, you got the Big East, ACC, SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. So that doesn't include Gonzaga or Oregon State, Washington State with their setup out in the Pac-12 right now. And the last time I charted this was Saturday night. So this isn't completely up to date, but I had it at 59 or 86% of those 69 high major schools from those leagues have at least one transfer portal commit right now. All right, so only 10 schools.
And maybe the ones that didn't, of those 10, had other players coming in already that were probably going to impact next year's roster, high school editions. Because I'll put it this way, I don't know that the high school editions that K-State's got, they signed 2, are necessarily going to be early impact guys.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, look at heading into the weekend, KU, or heading into Friday, KU and Houston hadn't had a transfer portal commit, but they both had. I mean, KU's got Darren Peterson coming in and other high-level prospects. Houston's got an elite recruiting class coming in from the prep level. K-State doesn't have that. The other schools, some of the other schools that haven't landed a guy in the portal, DY, are Duke, who just played. So that makes sense. Texas Tech, who we know they're going to be fine. They had in like Arkansas. Like these are teams that were playing in the Sweet 16 and beyond. It makes sense a little bit. Even UCF, who's rumored to be firing Dawkins, landed a commitment. Riley Kugel committed there. West Virginia has a commitment. Ross Hodge has been on the job for 4 days. Maryland has multiple commits. Now, some of those are guys following from A&M, so that makes it a little easier. But Buzz Williams has been on the job for a week. And so K-State's sitting with no commits. And really, unless there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, there's nothing scheduled. I haven't heard about any other.
Yeah, the only thing that at one point was soon was the Robert Morris wing and Marion Dickerson, and he committed to USC. So
yeah, and USC was playing in the Crown basketball tournament last week, and they landed 2 commits last week, and Marion Dickerson being one, so he's off the board, right? Keontae Jones is off the board. Tyrone Riley, a guy that wing they talked to, he's going back to San Francisco, returning there. You lose Markel Sutton to LSU. LSU is 14-35 in the Matt McMahon era in the SEC, and 45-48. How are you losing recruits to LSU? All right. You got to recruit better. I don't want to hear about money. They got enough money. All right. Recruit better players, win, sell better. Okay. I'm tired of the money thing. Let's get the job done here in the recruiting sale. You can't lose recruiting battles when you get the first visit to LSU. You got to close. If you wanted Markel Sutton, and we know they did, close. And K-State didn't. And Matt McMahon at LSU, he's been terrible 3 years there, and they lose a recruiting battle to him. So, yeah, it's frustrating. And a lot of the commits, like the top guys, BYU mentioned, I think 17 of the 20 in the on-3 top 20, they've already committed. Feels like guys are committing faster this year.
All right. Maybe another one to mention there, too, that committed to Xavier. Yeah, I don't know that I'm not as concerned about like the top 20, but if you're talking about the pace at which this is going, I totally get it. And the money thing, I think the frustration there coming out is for those that listen to Jerome Tang's interview with the Field of 68 at the Final Four. He was on with Scott Drew, and they were starting to talk about, how much the price has gone up this year and what it's going to cost. And, a lot of similar things that we've heard before, but I get it. There is, look, I love Jerome Tang, man, but when you last year had, by all accounts, a top 5 to at worst top 10 NIL spend, and you finished below 500, I don't know that now is the time to be talking about how expensive everything is in the portal now, because you've had all the money that you could possibly want to go out and build a roster. It hasn't happened, and now you're sitting here without a commitment, and things are moving very slowly. Again, maybe they have stuff in the works that we just don't know about. That is very possible. Obviously, they've devoted a lot of resources to Europe, so maybe that's going to really change things. But it doesn't seem like the greatest look to me. I'll put it that way, to be complaining about the money and where the prices are going and all of that right now. Not only that, it's just, there are plenty of good teams out there this past year that were not top 10 NIL spends. And I think we feel very confident in saying they have money. It may not be quite relative to the field what it was last year, but, when things went the way they did last year, when you overspent, that's understandable. I think they will have plenty of resources to compete, certainly to be competing with like an LSU. So
I think that's all fair. What I would say is I don't know that's just the lack of commits that is I don't know if alarming is the word, probably maybe concerning. It's just that we aren't even totally aware of anything on the verge of happening or in the works, right?
Yeah, and combined with all the staff stuff, right? It just seems like it just seems like it would be hard to have a real ironed out plan right now about what's going on with all the moving parts.
And again, it could be just that we don't know what we don't know, but no real signs of positivity of anything on the, I guess what I say, on the verge of happening, on the doorstep of happening. Yeah.
Well, usually you start to hear K-State's had a Zoom call with X and X player. We haven't heard of them having Zoom calls. The Bashir guy, maybe a Monmouth, maybe they had a Zoom call with. I don't remember exactly, but he put out a list that it's Alabama, Kentucky, KU, and somebody else, I think.
There's that. There's Nigel Pack. I just saw it come across. I'll mention this. Dan Skillings of Cincinnati's officially entering the portal now.
Hard pass.
I know, but I'm just saying I've heard connections there, so I don't.
If they go for Dan Skillings, I can't emphasize it. Stay away from Dan.
Really
Skillings.
good 2 years ago, really bad last.
Cannot shoot. Cannot shoot. Awful.
RJ Lewis is still available. Like I said, I think I mentioned Nigel Pack. What I guess where I'm left too is like, I know they just missed on Markel Sutton and Marion Dickerson, who are technically this, but like their biggest like void is the front court, and we haven't heard a lot of front court names.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that. Let's come back and talk about front court names. You brought up Nigel Pack as well, DY, which there is an update there. I mean, we talked about that a little bit last time. There's an update, and it mentions K-State, so we'll get to all that coming up in just a minute.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
All right, sorry to cut you off there, Cole. What do you got on the front court?
Well, I was going to say Diabite, the Alabama kind of wing forward, was a guy they were heavily connected to out of the high school recruiting ranks. So I was checking with DY on that, and that was in the Buddy Rich Day class, right? DY, he's been a solid piece for Bama, but I did see Kentucky report that Kentucky was going to have the Zoom call with him. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing out random names. I mean, I don't know. I'm also a little distracted because it sounds like Trilly is potentially projecting a K-State commit today. So this show could be dated by the time everybody listens to it. And
Is it one that you would be excited about?
no idea. Well, I don't even know. I probably shouldn't even be sharing it because it's probably from his Discord. So
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying you don't have a name. You're just expecting a...
I mean, look, I'll just say it. He said he'll have a GIF for K-State fans later today. GIF. I always screw it up. I know. Whatever. Don't nag me on that, John.
Shirley's got some peanut butter for the cats today, baby.
A GIF. He's got a GIF for K-State later today. So that means it seems like it's a K-State commit. No idea who that could be.
It's someone that hasn't visited or is it's still a dead period today, even, right?
Yeah. The only guy I could, and again, they didn't get him in on a visit, but like, could they have flipped all right from Xavier?
Or is it, what about the Europe?
It could. Yeah. I mean, those guys.
Nigel Pack's not like he has to visit.
I don't think it's
Manhattan pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Yeah, so Nigel Pack, right? Nigel Pack comes out that KU, K-State, Oklahoma, Clemson. Who else am I missing there? Indiana was the list of 5 for Nigel Pack. Apparently, Clemson got cut, so now down to 4. So, I mean, K-State's in it. Like we know what that looks like. I think I would certainly take him. I mean, he can shoot it.
Yeah, he can be a good player. He has been a good player. First team All Big 12 at one point when he was with Kansas State. He took Miami. I think Jordan Miller was the leader of that team, and they had a lot of other good players. But he went to the Final Four with Miami. Obviously, like I said, he's got some outrageous skills. But depending on what this roster looks like, I would just wonder about fit a little bit when it comes to Nigel Pack. And it's interesting that the two sides are seemingly mutually interested in that, I say, reunion of sorts, because when Jerome Tang was hired, it didn't seem like that was something that really worked at all at first, because Nigel kind of got out of town pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Nigel Pack on the last show, and I don't know at the time, did we think it was as serious as this? I mean, it wasn't like reported out there that K-State was in the top 6 or 7 at that time. There were just rumors that there could be some mutual interest or dialogue, and now we've got a list of a top 4 with KU, Oklahoma, Indiana, and K-State. And, the perception would be that Indiana would be the place because he's from Indiana. Now, the perception 3 years ago when he entered the portal was Purdue. Right. I mean, we all thought he was headed to Purdue when he entered from Indiana, chance to go play for one of the powers there in college basketball. And he ended up going to Miami. Of course, he got the big NIL deal at the time, which was large at that time. And so
it's not larger anymore.
Yeah, and so we'll see if he decides to go play his final year in his home state, or what transpires there, or K-State. Look, K-State doesn't he doesn't have to visit K-State. He's been at K-State.
That's what I
Met him. So
I don't know of anything happening there, but it was just an observation to me. It was like he technically wouldn't have to visit in order to say I'm going there because he kind of knows everything there is to know. He was in school at Kansas State for 2 years. Interesting enough, I think there's a top 4 out there right now, right? With it's K-State, Indiana, KU, and Oklahoma. Interesting enough, even if he doesn't pick K-State, let's say he picked KU or Indiana, he'd probably be playing K-State next year.
Yeah, that's true. There's a very strong likelihood of that occurring if he picks one of those 2 schools. Don't think he's going to pick Oklahoma, so that seems likely. It doesn't. I don't believe this potential commit of today is Nigel Pack though, from gathering. So
yeah.
So who knows? And maybe I should. It's a good thing we're recording on the air when that came. Maybe I should just walk back everything I said for the first 30 minutes, guys, bagging on that. Or maybe I brought the karma, I'll take. Look, if I sound like an idiot for the good of K-State in any sport, I'm happy to take the bullets there and sound stupid. So
yeah, without it being.
Does this mean it's someone you're excited about?
I had no idea. I have no idea who it could be.
No idea. What do you think there was more up there? I can't tell what you're.
We have no idea who this could be, and
yeah, I would say they're transfer wise. If it's not Nigel Pack, I really am stumped on who it would be, under those qualifications. Unless it's an international player, that seems to make the most sense to me at this point.
If you pinned me down for a guess, that'd probably be my guess, but I don't know. Maybe for the sake of entertainment purposes, it'd be great if Cooper Flagg announced that he was coming to K-State today. We'd take that, Cole. Take that, buddy.
Remember when K-State was his first offer?
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't. They offered him after he went crazy on an AU event, but he already had 40 offers or so at that point.
Oh, I thought K-State was, reported as the first. Well, anyways, whatever.
They offered him, but it was well after he had already generated a ton of national attention.
Well, I honestly don't remember any of that. So
they were on the baseline with their baseball uniforms on. Yeah.
Well, he would just miss the game-winning shot in the Elite Eight for us to lose, and we would just come up short again. So, guess it's fine.
Shout out to Houston, man. Good stuff. Go Houston, by the way, tonight. All right. Anything else? Anything else portal-wise, basketball related? You want to put in an official prediction on the commit? What do you want to do here? Wrap it up.
I would say there. Are you guys stunned? I'll just pose a question real quick. Are you guys stunned that there's been only one portal entry so far?
Yes.
Like, what is I used to be able to discern or tell why there was a delay or a wait on certain what's happening. But I'll just be honest, if by fall and or Ugonna and Yento are going to enter the portal, it's kind of strange it hasn't already happened.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I thought after April 1st we would see it. I thought last week was when we would see all those guys enter. I don't know. And I think K-State's going to end up with probably right around five scholarship openings when you count the guys that are coming back, and likelihood that Max Jones waiver's not approved, and then maybe an additional transfer that hits the portal in addition to Byfall and Nani Enzo. So we'll see what transpires there. I just got a fear in my head that Dan Skilling's entered the portal today, and that could be the commit. So
I told I'd heard some connecting the dots between the two sides.
Is it that bad, Cole? Dan Skilling's?
Well, if you like guys that can't hit a shot from the outside, I guess.
Well, what is he, a wing?
Yeah, he's a wing.
Okay.
He's a 6'6".
He's a wing that hasn't really shot the ball well. He was really good still scoring wise 2 seasons ago. Last season he completely fell off the map, it felt like.
He loves to shoot threes. He's not good at shooting threes. 28% in his career on 302 attempts. So never shot 30% in a season from three. 49 free throw attempts for a lead.
This past season, wasn't he like benched at times because he was so unproductive? But the season before that, he led Cincinnati in points, rebounds, and blocks as just a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, the year before he was 13 points a game and 6.4 rebounds. So I guess I shouldn't bag on him too much. 44% from the floor. He just, he's not a very good shooter from the outside.
It was rough for him, I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, he was also a 61% free throw shooter. So, yeah, it looks like there's not much of a shot there. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like Cole, in the Discord, you were resigned to taking Eddie Lampkin yesterday. So I feel like Dan Skilling's probably is not that
guy had playing time.
That bad. I mean, a guy that's put up 12 and 6 before as a sophomore in the Big 12. I don't, you can work with that.
I tell you what, I don't like that he can't shoot, Cole, but if he kind of revived himself a little bit to the point close to the year before, that kind of big wing with length is kind of what they need in terms of fit with Doug McDaniel, though.
All right. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't bag on him too much. I guess
I still prefer a shooter, though.
I could get on board with it. I should retract a little bit of the hate there on Dan Skilling. So there's some skill there that he brings to the table. He's a strong wing. Would like to see him get to the foul line more. Only 49 attempts this year.
And that's been a thing for K-State, right? So,
well, I mean, that's a 6'6" dude that's strong. Get to the rim, get to the foul line.
I think he's a camper.
He attempted less free throws than Doug McDaniel.
Yeah, no, I mean
that is pretty wild.
So
that is pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, there's flaws, but that's what it is. Again, you said Eddie Lampkin. Eddie Lampkin.
Well, I mean, he averaged 11 and a half and 9 boards last year at Syracuse. I mean, I'm just taking what I could get, I guess, at this point. So sounds like it's not Dan Skilling either. You guys are just getting to listen to a live update show. Maybe we should just carry this show through and keep recording until we get to the name.
Yeah, just making a marathon until it actually comes out.
Yeah, the college basketball portal marathon, like the 24 hours we used to get. So.
I think we need to just get the hell out so that Nick can get this posted, so that it at least posts before.
Yeah, so I sound like a jackass when the commit comes out an hour later.
It's a stud or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll probably be the way. And then we'll need to record again so I can apologize. The Cole Manbeck apology tour.
Yeah, so we got that.
But look, I tried to set you up. I said you need to be more positive in the beginning. I mean, I tried to lead you down that road.
You trapped me. You guys tried to bait me off air into negativity. I blame you. So.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, nothing negative about Holiday Distillery and Home Field Apparel. Go get your Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Use promo code 3MOD24 for 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com. Thanks to Nick Springer producing this. For Derek Young and Cole Manbeck, I'm John Kurtz. Stay positive, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon on 3MOD.